playing my $300 Chinese guitar. I bought it on eBay, and it's not a Gibson, but it's some kind of combination of a Gibson ES-125 and an ES-295. But this video isn't really about guitars or guitar reviews. It's about me getting Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's is a chronic degenerative brain disorder caused by your brain's inability to produce enough dopamine neurons. And that's not a scientifically accurate description, but that's how I kind of understand it. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that goes through your brain and tells different parts of your body to do different kinds of things. Although the guitar part that I did at the beginning has a purpose. I have this idea that I'm going to make a video every 6 months for as long as I can and play that same part and watch the progression of the disease as it takes away my skill at playing guitar. And I will post those every 6 months. And someone else who's concerned about their own progression or whatever will be able to see it. And over time I can make a compilation. So it's a short thing that you can watch the progression. Right now it feels like a good idea, something that people might look forward to. 5 years from now, it might not seem like something I really want to do, but that's my plan right now. So let me tell you about my story. A couple of years ago, I was feeling a bunch of different neurological symptoms, neuropathy, and I had a facial pain, and I had an arm pain. A lot of different things. So I went to a neurologist, and he put me through every test there was known to man, and told me he wasn't prepared to give me a diagnosis, but that I wasn't a hypochondriac, but I was a nervous wreck. He told me that's a neurologist joke. So anyhow, he told me to come back in a year, and I came back in a year. And the second time I saw him, he noticed my tremor, and my tremor was fairly pronounced, and he said, that's a resting tremor, and that may be associated with Parkinson's. He wasn't ready to make a diagnosis or anything else. But the minute he said that, it got into my brain, and Dr. Google and I spent hours and hours and hours diagnosing me. And after a while, we became pretty determined that I had Parkinson's. So when I saw him a year later and he said I had Parkinson's disease, it wasn't a total surprise. During that year, mostly during the summer, that would be last summer, my symptoms started to get a lot worse. One of the things that Parkinson's does to you is it turns you into an old man or an old lady almost overnight. You start walking in this way they call the Parkinson's gait, where your steps are very short and you're shuffling your feet. Your shoulders are are bent over, and your arms are lying at the side when you're walking, not swinging the way they should be. And of course your hands are trembling. So people see you on the street and they think you're an old man. People, get up out of their seat for me. They give me the respect of an old man. I'm only 69 years old. I'm not ready to be an old man yet. But that was starting to prey on my head. I was starting to move from kind of a vague melancholy that I think everybody had a little bit of with the pandemic and all the craziness that we have in the world, and just isolation and lack of activity. And, I had become this old man. And on top of all that, I was falling down a lot. I would fall down. I would trip on my own feet and fall forward. And usually I'd fall pretty hard. It was explained later to me that somehow or other Parkinson's had interfered with my recovery response. So when I fell, I would just fall straight down. One time I remember in particular, I was going right down flat on my face, and I could see it happening, and I just had no way to stop it. Luckily, my ribs caught the major impact, and I broke one rib, but I didn't hurt my face, which probably would have been worse. Although broken rib hurts a lot. So combining this pain, this weird situation we're in, and this disease that's starting to become a problem, my melancholy was becoming depression, and as more and more falls and more problems, the depression became a major depression. And by the way, depression is a very, very common symptom of Parkinson's. So when I got my diagnosis, I got home and I just started thinking. I had spent all this time with Dr. Google looking up everything in the world about Parkinson's, but I was mostly dealing with the diagnostic stuff, and I wasn't really thinking about the long-term stuff. Once it was official, I started reading about what happens 5 years from now, 7 years from now, 10 years from now. And it's not a pretty picture. My depression became very severe. There were days I couldn't get out of bed. There were just, and I turned to my typical self-medication, black licorice and ice cream. And in the course of 3 or 4 months, I gained 25 pounds. That's not good. So my neurologist prescribed a medication called Carbidopa Levodopa. It's a medication that simulates dopamine in your brain and is able to restore a certain percentage of the dopamine you're not using. And within 3 or 4 weeks of taking that medication, I felt great. My depression was gone. I was feeling better than I had felt in years. My tremors were mostly gone. And my walking was a little bit better. I was a little bit more stable. But I just felt great. Now, the problem is Carbidopa Levodopa stops having effectiveness typically 5 to 7 years. And after that, there's some other procedures, but eventually you start to go from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3. And by the time you're in stage 3, you're severely disabled. Chances are you can't walk. or maybe you can walk with a walker, but you're going to have difficulty getting dressed, taking a shower, doing almost anything becomes a major chore. And it doesn't get any better. Stage 4, typically you start to lose your ability to swallow. You're definitely not walking at that point. You're not driving, of course. It's a pretty bleak picture. And I say that because right now I am feeling pretty good. I've as hard as it was for me to put all of this out of my mind before I started taking the medication, I really am doing very well at keeping things in the here and now. Today's a good day. Tomorrow's going to be a good day. I'm going to have lots of good days, and that's all that's really important. I have a great life. I have a great wife, great puppy. I have 3 great sisters, 3 great children. And like I said, I've got lots of good days ahead of me. Now, the other thing that my doctor recommended, or he prescribed, was that I go to a physical therapist that he works with, who's a specialist in movement disorders. And she's done some, I've been working with her twice a week now for about 6 months. And I've made incredible progress. When I started going there and doing the exercises that she recommended, it seems silly to me. I mean, putting 1 foot forward and 1 foot back, and these are just very, very simple things. Standing up from a sitting position, very simple things that nobody in the world would call exercise, but for me it was exercise because Parkinson's comes with a tremendous amount of rigidity and loss of balance. The first time I saw her, she had me do a number of different tasks to set a benchmark and to measure my progress as time goes on. And I'll give you just an example. One of the things she tested was standing on 1 foot with the other foot behind me and my arms stretched out like an airplane. Now, again, with Parkinson's, you have this rigidity. I can't stretch my arms out all the way. But to the extent I could, I had them out. The first time I did it, on my left foot, I absolutely couldn't stand on 1 foot, just 0 seconds. On my right foot, I could stand for about 3 or 4 seconds before I'd lose my balance. So last week, she did the same test again, and on that particular one, I could stand on my left foot for 3 seconds, and I could stand on my right foot for about 15 seconds, or we stopped at 15 seconds. I probably could have gone quite a ways before my back gave out. And that's the kind of progress I'm making. I have regained some of my recovery instinct. I'm walking. She's taught me how to walk in a way that will prevent falls. It's kind of an awkward walk. It's kind of like I'm marching, lifting my knees and walking along. Feels kind of dumb, but she actually took a video of it, and it looked pretty normal, unless you were really, really looking at it. So I want to thank you for watching. To my regular subscribers, I'm sorry that it's not what you were expecting. If you're still here, then maybe you've gotten something out of it. I hope so. If you subscribe and hit the notification button, when I put the next chapter of my journey up, you'll be notified, and you can watch where I'm at 6 months from now, and then 12 months, and on and on and on. Um, and I do want to say that as far as my guitar playing goes, I haven't had any real problems. It's a little more difficult to play very fast parts. And I also, on occasion, I hit the wrong string with my picking hand. That's a matter of executive function disorder or occupational function disorder. I'm not sure which. That is another common symptom. But for right now, I'm doing okay. I'd like to thank you for coming, and have a good day.